Hey guys, welcome back to Missing Out Mondays, where we tell you what we're into. Start your week off right. I'm Tari J.
I'm Lex Michael.
And I'm gonna go first this week. And today I am into the limited edition Peet's Whole Bean Roast.
I think I saw you post about this.
Oh, I did, because I love it so much. It is their lightest roast to date. It is the single origin Ethiopian Etoile blend, or not blend because it is a single origin. But essentially it has a very like citrusy taste to it. It has like you can actually smell the orange peels when you brew it. I say that it is best French pressed. I've done it both in slow drip and French press. I will say that you get the smoothest flavor from the French press, and I think that like it gets a little bit bitter when you start doing the slow drip. It's good both warm and cold, and it's so delicious. Like I can tell you the notes are. It says it's brilliant citrus from delicate blossom to candied peel, and it's really good, guys. I highly recommend it. Check out, go to Peet's. You can get it whole bean. You can also, I think they'll grind it for you if you want them to, so that you can brew it in your coffee maker. I would recommend drinking it black, even though it's a very like light brown, maybe like a kind of amber color. But drink it without any like milk or cream, just straight. It's very much like I would describe it as a very rich kind of powerful tea. Like teas have a more subtle flavor, whereas this one doesn't necessarily hit you in the face, but it's kind of more flavorful than a mild tea. And I love it. I love it so much.
I want to do a full show with you about coffee at some point, because I'm a guy who's a big fan of coffee.
Yeah.
But for as much a fan of coffee as I am, I know surprisingly little about it.
Okay.
So you're my guy that knows a lot about coffee. So at some point, maybe I need you to educate me. Because if you're like, here, read this, I'll be like, okay, and I might go read an article or something. But at a certain point, my focus is going to drop way off like a goldfish.
Yeah.
So if we sit and you just lecture for an hour to me about coffee, I might retain some.
Okay. I mean, I really enjoy talking about coffee. So if I would be down to do either like a tasting or like just talk about the different varieties that I like origins and brewing techniques and like different mechanisms to make different kinds of coffee. That would be so fun.
All right. So we're going to put that on the calendar at some point.
Yes, please. Especially when Peet's comes out with their like winter beans. Ooh, they're like blueberry flavored. I think I may have talked about them on this show before.
It's possible.
But they're very good, and I would love to have you taste those.
Yeah.
What are you into this week?
What am I into this week? All right, well, I finally watched it, so we get to talk about season 3 of Daredevil.
Ooh, all right, let's do this.
This shit was great.
Oh, yeah.
It was great.
Mm-hmm.
I will go so far as to say, I think front to back, this may be the best Marvel Netflix season across the board.
I would agree. I think that like since we had all of the origin stuff out of the way, and we've also been able to kind of sit with these characters, especially like you've gotten Kingpin in both this show, both in Daredevil, and I think he was also in Punisher, was it not?
Was not. You're thinking about all the Punisher stuff from season 2 of Daredevil.
Okay, well, either way.
He did have a bunch of Punisher business to do.
Yes. I like we know who Wilson Fisk is. We know who Daredevil is. And now we get to like just splash around in this world. And they like even brought back some of the like loose threads from season 1 that like were just kind of hanging about. Like you have so much of the baggage of all these characters. And you get like the best Foggy I've seen.
And I don't want to crap on Eldon Henson at all. He seems like an incredibly likable dude. This was the first season where Foggy felt like Foggy to me all, and I thought he was pretty great.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever a something that the actor wasn't providing to the character. Like, I think that, like, in all the seasons, he has done a really great job with the material that he's had. And I think that, like, they spent a lot of time dealing with Matt's stuff, and he was always very ancillary and never really his own fully fledged character. But in this, like, he had as much weight and as much to do with, like, the resolution of the plot as any of the characters. And I felt like he was really able to showcase that, like, he wasn't just an extension of Matt Murdock.
Right.
He is his own character.
Yes.
And I really loved that aspect of it. And like, we get to, like, certain parts towards the end where you get this really warm feeling of seeing everyone interacting together. And I didn't even know I was missing that until it happened. And I like felt so endeared to these characters. And there's this moment where Foggy's like, this seems really great. And you're like, it does. Thank you. Because this is really nice.
I had that moment, like, at the very end, like when they all get they essentially won, right? Like, and they're sitting there together, and it's the scene at the end where it's like, you know, a Nelson, Murdoch, and Paige.
Yeah.
And it felt, yeah, I hadn't necessarily been thinking about it too much either, but that moment I went, oh my God, this feels wonderful.
Yeah.
How nice for them. Good for those crazy kids.
Right. My one thing with this season is that, like, I feel like it was almost the same storyline as season 1. It's just like we didn't have to do any of the origin stuff. So, like, essentially we start out with Daredevil being like, I'm Daredevil, and he's like, I must punish myself. And then we get, like, Wilson Fisk doing, like, behind the scenesy stuff. And ultimately it's like them two, like, trying to outsmart each other, and ultimately, like, we end where we end. And, like, we got a little bit of stuff in between, but, like, it feels like the same exact arc, which I don't have a problem with. I just think that, like, it's interesting that, like, in order to make a good season, they had to essentially repeat the story just with a little bit extra flair.
What's interesting to me is I don't feel that it's a retread of the first season so much as a logical continuation of the first season. This feels like not the same arc again, but it's like we're still going on the same arc that we had, because Fisk goes to prison at the end of season 1. We had to sort of take a break for most of season 2.
Yeah.
But even in there, I think maybe one scene together in season 2, Murdoch and Fisk,
yeah,
we're still continuing that arc because he starts to put the pieces together of, I think I know who this motherfucker is.
Yeah.
And then we just sort of pick it up in season 3.
Okay.
And I like that, like, it is ultimately, I think it's a very different ending as well. Like, I love the fact that they have essentially now battled to a stalemate, and I think they've both gone about as far as they can possibly go.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's secrets are on the table. Like, I love too that it's like they both have to take each other at their word that, okay, I won't go after Karen Page or Foggy Nelson, for example.
Yeah.
And Vanessa stays free. Vanessa, by the way, I fucking loved how they handled that character this season. Mm-hmm. Because you knew, like, once she knows what Fisk does and she's that on board anyway,
yeah,
you know at the very least she's willing to tolerate, like, casual murder, for example.
Yeah.
But she's all in. Like, it was her idea to kill Nadim, another character who, like, at first I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Because we spent a big chunk of that first episode, at the back half of that first episode, we spent a good chunk with him.
Yeah.
And I'm going, like, this is not, who is this man? What are we doing? And I ended up really liking what they did with that character too. But it's ultimately Vanessa who says, well, why don't we just kill him?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it just easier to kill him? So I love that it's like, okay, I will essentially surrender to you, and I will not seek out your compatriots for retribution, and she stays free. And all the secrets are out.
Yeah.
And I love in their last moment, like, Murdoch just literally pulls the fucking mask off, and they just look at each other.
As much as they can.
Don't do that. He's Daredevil, bro. He can quote unquote see.
I know, but just
that's mean. Is
it?
I don't know.
It's accurate.
But so like it's all and he knows that Karen killed Wesley. Like he's got the information, he's got the motivation, and he's got the leverage, knowing full well like maybe they've tried to out Murdoch before, but now like he's got even greater motivation to take them all down than he did. But I fully buy, and I think it's incredible that they were able to contextualize it this well. I completely buy that both parties will hold up their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's pretty excellent writing.
Yeah, I would agree. Like that was when I said like when I implied that it was a retread, it wasn't necessarily like a big issue. It just felt like we ended where we started. But I guess like it has additional weight and consequences.
This feels very much to me like, especially in a world where, all right, they had been pretty open about how they didn't think there was going to be more Defenders. Then they cancel Iron Fist. Then they cancel Luke Cage. We've got another season of Punisher that's in the can and another season of Jessica Jones. I would not be surprised, and if anything, I'd be more surprised if this wasn't the case. I would not be surprised if this was the last season of Daredevil.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I actually feel like this functions, with the exception of the little tease right on the end, this actually functions fairly well as a closed ending for me.
Yeah. What was the tease at the end?
Bullseye.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about Bullseye this season, who is, even though they never call him Bullseye, is very, very, very clearly intended to be Bullseye. Benjamin Poindexter. How did you feel about this character and the way this character was used?
I thought it was really interesting. Like I liked an alternate portrayal of psychopathology where it's not just like someone who is like, I'm gonna kill for fun. It's like someone who's trying to fit in society, but they just have like they're dealing with a lack of empathy or a lack of the ability to like connect with people. So I really liked that portrayal. I feel like at first I wasn't necessarily on board with him like donning the suit, like, but I feel like they eventually earned it.
I agree. Like when I first saw in the promos that was going to be the case, that it was going to be, of course, they seem to be allergic to costumes for the most part on these shows, which I always like. But I'm like, come on, man. Like, how many movies have made $1 billion where Captain America's dressed like the Flag? Like, we don't have to be afraid of costumes at this point.
Right.
So when I saw that, I'm like, all right, well, there's still a costume, but like, I really wanted to see the goofy, like, Bullseye thing. But I agree, like, really quickly, I felt really quickly they earned it. Like, it makes perfect sense that, like, where Matt is in his life, trying to, especially like he's like, okay, I'm going to kill Matt Murdock and I'm just going to be, he doesn't say, I think I'm just going to be Daredevil, but that's kind of what it is. Like, I'm going to let Matt Murdock die and I'm going to be this.
Right.
To then see your face reflected at you, especially when you're grappling with the Catholic guiltiest of Catholic guilts. Yeah. It's the devil. It's your face and the devil looking back at you at once. That's pretty evocative. And I also like that we could sidestep the no costumes thing in the other direction, because the black non-devil suit is still very much a costume from the comic books. Right. And I really love that they put the the Mai Tai bands on? Yeah, the Muay Thai bands. So he's got the big exaggerated Frank Miller hands. Yes. That made me really happy. But I'm also like, I'm not a big let's take 13 hours to tell an origin story guy, whether it's a hero or a villain. Yeah. And my concern was, okay, I know he's not going to be in the costume. They're probably never going to call him Bullseye. So is this going to be a lot of... It's kind of how I felt about Punisher, if I'm being honest, like what they did with, I think his name's Billy Russo, the guy who becomes Jigsaw. Mm-hmm. It felt like a lot of stuff that I was not super into. And then we arrived at a payoff where it's like, okay, we mess up his face, but then it's like, I saw set photos for season 2. We're not even committing super hard. I want him to look like Dominic West in Punisher Warzone, or I'm not happy. But I was like, all right, it's going to be a lot of kind of stuff that I'm not all that compelled by before we get to the good stuff. Yeah. And is the good stuff, are they even going to go for the good stuff as hard as I want them to? Am I in for a slog in this regard? Yeah. I was riveted by this entire story. Oh, and yeah. I love the way they made... Like, maybe they've done an origin for Bullseye in the comics, but my favorite thing about Bullseye, he's just like, he just throws stuff real well. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? And like, that was kind of enough for me for a long time. That and like, Bullseye kills Elektra and he throws stuff real well. Right. And he really is like Daredevil's opposite number. He's a really fun character whenever he pops up, but like, yeah, there wasn't too much more than that to him that I had read, which is part of why I was like 13 hours of this.
Yeah.
Riveted by every part of it. And
yeah.
watching the two of them play off each other, watching his relationship with Fisk develop, and then watching how eventually they figure out how to play the two of them against each other.
Yeah.
Which leads to that last, I want to talk about the fights this season too. The fight in the finale at Fisk's penthouse.
Oh, yeah.
Where in a way, Daredevil and Kingpin have to team up in a sense.
Yeah.
To try and stop this dude from killing Vanessa.
Right. Well, the thing I like about that is that like Poindexter is used by everyone. And so like Matt Murdock, because they're drawing this line throughout the show about how Murdock isn't so different from Fisk. And so like in the end, they kind of show that in that like Murdock also uses Poindexter in order for his own means. He's like, all right, I'm going to throw this bull into a china shop to distract so I can get into the penthouse. And it's like, that is, bro, you're skirting that line between good and bad dude. Like you got to start thinking about where your morality lies, you know? And I really enjoyed that aspect, that even up until the very end, like you don't get that shift in Matt Murdock towards being a good in the world. And like Matt Murdock is needed way more than like Daredevil ever will be. Because Daredevil is fisty Fisk. That sounds weird.
That's super weird, yeah. But I get what you...
Yeah.
Although you could argue that Fisk is fisty Fisk in at least one way we've seen on screen.
I guess that's true.
I love that he's having a bad night, so he's just like, give me your jacket. And his boy's like, okay. And immediately Fisk just wraps it around his head and beats the motherfucker to death. That's pretty fisty.
That's true. He's all about those fists. But yeah, you mentioned the fights.
Oh,
and so
good
like
gravy. So
last week,
yeah,
I mentioned that there was a really cool sequence. Yes, I said it was in episode.
You said 5. It was 4.
But it's episode
Although
4.
5
has the first meeting between Daredevil and Bullseye, which I thought was really cool.
And 5 also has you get a lot of the Bullseye origin stuff.
Yeah.
Which I thought, like, and again, it's like, fuck, it's an origin within an origin. God damn it, you fuckers. And they still find really interesting ways to depict it. As Fisk is learning more about him, we sort of step into Bullseye's history with Fisk. And I think the way they depict all of that, all of the different technical choices they made, were really interesting. It kept it from being stale or rote. It felt very, very sharp and very alive. 4 though.
Yes. 4 has so Daredevil is known for their like one shots or their like single take long sequences. And so we got the original one in season 1 where it's the hallway fight and it's one take and he arrests the kid in episode 4. And this one they take to the next level in that like I don't think that they necessarily cut from the moment he like leaves the cab to the moment that he goes back into the cab. Like he tells the guy to wait, he goes into the prison, and then they just it's mayhem from then on.
I want to go back and see. I want to time the sequence because it's long, man.
Yeah.
Like there was a point at which I was like, wow, that's really impressive. Fuck, that was a cool sequence. Oh my God, it's still going.
Oh yeah.
That happened, I swear to God, 3 times.
Yeah, because it has in and of itself a number of different acts within this single take. In that,
because
like,
we'll be doing a big long fight.
Yeah.
And then we'll go right into a scene.
Yeah.
And like a dramatic fucking plot moving scene, and then we'll go right back into the fight. And once or twice, and it's all still one unbroken. Now I'm sure there are cheats somewhere.
Right.
I know if you look for them, like in the hallway fight in season 1, if you're really looking, like you can catch where the cheats are.
Yeah.
Still impressive. By the same token, you can clearly tell if you're looking for it, the spots where they swap out Cox and the stuntman.
Well, yes, of course.
But I think those little switch outs, like that's cute. Like that's super lo-fi, really cool, like creative filmmaking. And so I'm so charmed by it as opposed to going, that's not him.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think that they're very clever. Like there's one where essentially they throw him behind a hospital bed.
Right, and then Cox
like,
crawls
goes
out.
Down. Yes.
Which is like one of the oldest tricks in the book, and it's so effective. I was insanely impressed by that entire sequence.
Yeah.
Also want to talk about the church fight, which worked equally well for me, just in a very different way. Like, I feel like they built the story to that point so insanely well. We've got then a full, like, open display of Bullseye's abilities. And it's also, the whole thing is I assumed in season 2 where we got that scene where it seemed like Fisk was definitely putting together that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, I started to, like a lot of people did, it's like, oh my God, so when they come back for season 3, are they going to do Born Again? And they sort of did, but didn't. They were able to kind of have their cake and eat it too. But the church fight in the comics, Karen Page is killed, much in the same way that Father Lantom unfortunately perishes this season. But like the stuff with like Matt Murdock's mom, for example, like that's from Born Again. And the stuff where Karen Page basically gives away Daredevil's identity, the stuff about how dark Karen Page's past is. That's all out of Born Again. And of course we remix it a lot for this season. But you build to that scene, that church fight, and it like that's as Daredevil to me as this series has gotten. And I love that entire sequence, and I love that, like, I am kind of glad we didn't kill Karen. I kind of assumed that's where this was going because that's what happens in the books. I'm kind of glad it didn't happen. I really like their dynamic. But I do like that we have an inversion of the image from Born Again where Karen Page dies in Matt Murdock's arm. At the end of that sequence, like Matt's beaten to shit, and it's him in Karen's arms in what looks like a pretty close recreation of that image, which I dug a lot. But no, that fight, like a buddy of mine was watching it, like watched it a little bit before I did, and I assumed, like, I wanted to hold off on talking to you about it so that we could talk about it here. But after that, I was like, dude, that, like, holy shit, dude, this like church fight. And he was like, dude, you remember like 2 days ago when we were chatting and every 2 or 3 minutes I was like, dude, Daredevil. I was like, yeah, and it's like that. I was like, oh, okay. That tracks. No, it's I was pretty blown away by this. This, frankly, was the first time in a long time that I've actually felt compelled to binge something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like even shows that I'm like, yeah, I'm enjoying this. I want to watch it. I get through like 2 in a day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good till tomorrow probably.
Right.
This, I just like, I was up all night a few nights ago, and I half the season in one sitting because I was so like, it's definitely I think it's definitely their best paced season.
Yeah,
like,
I would agree.
I think both the first season of Daredevil and Jessica Jones are both pretty excellent.
Yeah.
But both shows, in hindsight, like the kind of last chunk of the season, for at least 2 episodes, they spin their wheels pretty heavily. I didn't feel like that happened in this season at all.
No, I would agree. I actually, I think I got halfway through and felt like I was like, yeah, there's more story to tell. There are enough characters to balance between their different storylines to like fill in the amount of time. Because usually I feel like the way that these shows have gone is that like the adversary is beaten in the first half, and then like maybe someone new comes in, or like the second half is the adversary rebuilding themselves and then coming back, and then you get your final battle. But this time they managed to like do a slow burn leading up, and everyone had their own like individual like ABCD storylines that you could like really dig into that only helped to supplement the bigger portion.
Yeah, I literally, same friend that I'm talking about, like I literally shot him a message after episode 11 and I was like, how can there only be 2 more of these?
Yeah.
Because it felt, and again, like in those 2, they did an incredible job, I think, wrapping everything up. But I haven't felt that about, I mean, I don't want to pick on anyone specific, but I haven't felt that about a Netflix show in quite some time, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I dug the crap out of it. I want more of this. Like now I really feel, weirdly, even season 2 of Iron Fist made me go, I'm kind of bummed this is canceled because I think they could go some really great places from where they left it.
Yeah.
They won't now. I would be bummed if we don't get any more of this show, but I think if we don't, yeah, it was a really great closed ending with a little like, his eye has a bullseye in it at the end. My big thing is like my hope is that these shows are being allowed to end so Disney can do something with them on their platform.
Yeah.
I don't know what the odds are that they would keep any piece from these iterations, especially since the tone of these does not really meld with their whole family-friendly jam.
Yeah.
I really feel like the biggest waste would be D'Onofrio as Fisk, who I really do that. Technically, these shows are not in the MCU anymore, no matter what they told us up front. Although in Iron Fist season 2, they name drop Sokovia, which is fun.
Oh, nice.
But I really do think he is one of the best things to come out of any live action Marvel adaptation.
Yeah.
I was going to say post Iron Man, but no, I'm going to say ever. Like, I really don't think you are ever going to find a better Kingpin than that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that if they were to bring him back, he'd be best served in, like, Spider-Man.
And he was originally a Spider-Man villain.
Right. So, like, and we have, I think, one more after the next Spider-Man that's going to be coming out. So, like, they might as well integrate him in somehow. Like, if there's anyone who's, like, transferable, it would be him.
I'd hope, but again, he's one of the most sadistically violent characters on that show. So it's like you could definitely water that down.
Right.
But I don't know if they're, again, it's like I don't know if they're going to want to like dirty the mouse water.
Maybe. I mean, if he's just doing things from jail, though, then everyone else is doing his dirty work, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he has to, like, smash any skulls.
I would even say, you know what? I would even say you don't need to reference any of the events of Daredevil. Like, maybe you just take that character.
Yeah.
You kind of, like, you allude to his violence without depicting it in such graphic detail.
Right.
And it's just Kingpin doing It's like where he is in season 3 of Daredevil, or like Mesh where he is in season 1 and season 3.
Yeah.
And he's just out there, fucking Kingpin of crime, Wilson Fisk.
Right.
And you just keep D'Onofrio.
Yeah.
And I really like all of these actors in these roles for sure, but it would make me very sad to not see him get to do that again, because I think that's about as perfect a translation of that character, of any character from comic book page to the screen that there has been.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that, like, if Disney was smart, they would at least do, like, little movies, like little Defender movies.
Well, now what they're doing is, like, they're doing MCU series for their streaming platform. Like, you saw they announced a Loki series, right?
Yeah, I saw.
Oh, you seem mad about it.
I'm not mad. I just don't get it. I don't know why. What is that character going to do? Like, what is he going to do?
Well, he probably, I mean, he's dead. So, like,
Yeah.
I mean, presumably
dead.
you could tell like you could do like Black Widow. They're doing a period movie, presumably. So you could do that, or maybe they save him in Avengers 4. Maybe Thor is like, "I'll give my life for you, even though you're a dick."
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to use the Dragon Balls, and I'm going to bring him back from the underworld.
I just like the Dragon Balls. I just like Thor being like, "You can have my place in this franchise. I'm going to make Men in Black movies." And the Russos are like, "Chris, that's not the line. Men in Black." Chris, all right, we'll just have somebody dub it over.
Yeah.
We'll have Ruffalo do a Hemsworth impression, and
Well, I mean, there are like an infinite number of Hemsworths. They're like, we'll just bring in Gale or Liam.
Gale?
Bring in Gale. Liam Hemsworth was Gale in Hunger Games.
Got it.
Yeah. I just don't know what a Loki series would be. He's charming. Cool.
I
but
think
like,
you could do a lot if you make it a story that has nothing to do with Thor, because we've done that now 3 times. You could do stuff, but it's really clearly it's more about selling a super bankable character than it is about selling a story at this point. But I trust those folks.
Okay.
But in a world where I don't know. I guess Wilson Fisk was not in a movie that made $2 billion. So I guess that's maybe the difference.
Yeah.
But you know what? If they had put him in Infinity War, he would have been.
That's true. I also would like a Defenders versus Loki movie or something. Just like, hey, I wanna. He's like, I want to rule New York. I miss New York. And they're like, we weren't there the first time, but we're gonna stop you this time. And he's like, I'm a fucking god. I can do this. I'm from Liverpool.
He doesn't sound like that.
It does sound like that. That's how Loki sounds.
Loki.
I'm Loki.
Got a hole in my pocket.
Oh man, this is my girlfriend. Her name's Yoko. Anyways, yeah. So, I feel like
I like that your John sounds a little more like Ringo.
Yeah. We should wrap up.
But anyway, yes, it dug the crap out of Daredevil season 3.
Yes, it was very good.
Would love to watch more, but again, like, I don't know how you top this, frankly.
Yeah, I don't think it needs more. I think it reached its logical conclusion. I think it's fine. It's fine. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah, or put them all in a movie.
Yes. Yeah. I'm down for a Defenders movie. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us here on Missing Out Mondays. Make sure to hit us up on Twitter. Lex Michael, where can they find you?
I'm all over 2 places, Twitter and Instagram, at the Lex Michael.
Awesome. You can find me at Tari J. That's TAURIJAY on both platforms. You can also find this podcast at Missing Outcast. That's MISSINGOUTCAST. And make sure to hit us up on the Missing Out hotline if you'd like to be included in this segment. Tell us what you're into, give us your name or what you'd like to go by, where you're from if you want, but mostly what you like. If you have any thoughts about things that we've talked about, that number is 978-MISS-OUT. That number again is 978-MISS-OUT. Participate and congratulate. Also, if you feel like you want to give us feedback on how we're doing, you can go to iTunes or Google Play Store or iHeartRadio. Leave us a comment or a review. Give us them sweet stars, 5 stars if you love what we're doing, and let us know what you like. All right, and tomorrow we're going to be talking about the 1992 classic Glengarry Glen Ross. So watch it, or just if you've seen it, join us.
Or as Tari calls it, Gurgle Gurgle Larry.
Pretty much. That's my tongue doesn't like saying it. Too many G's. But yeah, so tune in tomorrow, and it will be fun. That's my closer.
Fun, not guaranteed.
It's true.
I mean, we may have fun. Yes. Your mileage may vary.
No, goddammit, you're gonna have some fun. Just grabs you by the lapel. You're gonna have so much fun. Bye.